Hello everyone, today I'm gonna to introduce Columbia School to you guys. Firstly, let me take a brief introduction. Lazarsfeld, as a psychologist and mathematician, aimed at psychological effects research of radio using laboratory experiments. Under his influence, Columbia School used Lazarsfeld Stanton program analyzer to test audio's reactions. Those researchers in Columbia School mainly respond to three main controversies towards communication study. The first one is media is under control of organizations who use propaganda and advertisements to change people. The second is mass communication is a major avenue for the deterioration of aesthetic tastes. And the third one is social and thinking confusion caused by communication. Those researchers done a very good job in studying in the effects of mass communication. In People's Choice, Lazarsfeld came to the conclusion that mass media has very limited influence on voters, breaking the preference of the magic bullet theory that the effects of mass media is dominating, and creating the second stage of communication effect research, limited effect theory. Next, I'll do my book reading and I'll briefly introduce the main contents of our textbook. Though Lazarsfeld and Merton did not consider the diverse effects of the mass media under varying systems of ownership and control, they still made an impressive job of introducing the three main social functions of the mass media. Those are the status comfort function, the enforcement of social norms, and the narcotizing dice function. Firstly, we'll learn status comfort function. The status comfort function is one of the main contents of the social function view of mass communication by Lazarsfeld and Merton. According to their theory, any kind of problem, opinion, or even person, organization, or social activities will become the focus of social attention and gain high popularity and social status as long as it is widely reported by mass media. According to Lazarsfeld and Merton, the function of social status of mass media will bring a kind of orthodox effect to the things spread by mass media. The information sharing and authoritativeness of mass media endowed with the function of social status. People understand the world through the mass media, and the value orientation and guiding mode of the media have a direct impact on the public's understanding and judgments of the key issue. The next function is the enforcement of social norms. The enforcement of social norms is another main content of the social function. According to this theory, mass media, by publicizing behaviors which didn't agree with social norms and public morals, can arouse universal social condemnation and put violators under strong social pressure, thus playing a role in enforcing compliance with social norms. Lazarsfeld and Merton point out that the function of mass communication mainly comes from its publicity. They argue that, under normal circumstances, even if people know for violation of the specification also won't happen organized social sanctions, but when the mass media will open after the situation is different. The general public will feel the maintaining social norms, institutional pressure actively join to the public opinion sections. The enforcement of social norms can be shown in this model. When it comes to people's personal moral standard and interpersonal moral standard, they are relatively low. But as for public moral standard, it's relatively high. So when media publicize something, people tend to judge in higher moral standards. Those makes tensions between the privately tolerable and the publicity acknowledgeable. The third function is narcotizing death function. The narcotizing death function argues that modern communication has obviously negative functions. It submerges modern people in the flood of surface information and popular entertainment. People spend a lot of time and energy on contact with media every day, which reduces their enthusiasm to actively participate in social practice. They take reading, listening, singing, thinking, and other activities as a substitute of action. Lazarsfeld and Merton call this phenomenon the aesthetic effects of social mass communication. They believe that exclusive indulgence in surface information and popular entertainment provided by the media would unconsciously lose the motivation of social action and be satisfied with passive knowledge accumulation. Next, we'll move to the impact upon popular taste. And Lagersfeld and Merton argue that the effective audience Lagersfeld and Merton argue that the effective audience for the art has been historically transformed. However, it is definite misunderstanding that mass media caused the decline of aesthetic taste. Mass audience probably include a larger number of persons who cultivated aesthetic standards, but these are swallowed up by the large masses who constitute the new and untutored audience for the arts. I have made some models for better understanding. The first one is three main functions of media. So Lagersfeld believes that the audience number cannot simply be equal to communication's effect and impacts, and Merton emphasized the three main functions. In their opinion, the media may organize exposure activities into a crusade, and the crusade may strengthen the hand of upright elements in the government, force the hand of the indifferent, and weaken the hand of the corrupt. The first one is monopolization. Monopolization of the mass media occurs in the absence of counter-propaganda. It makes media have the authority to shape someone, create popular idols. And the canalization is that mass communication tend to obey established rules. It is used to canalize basic attitudes rather than change it. The last one is mass media prove most effective in conjunction with local centers of organized face-to-face contact. Analyzing these main factors, Lagersfeld and Merton found that media do not have such big influence in public life. So they come to conclusion that mass media makes the maximum effectiveness towards the maintenance of social structure rather than change it. So now I move to the conclusion part. First is the impacts on popular taste. Firstly, Lagersfeld and Merton states that newly invented technology liberate public from physical labor activity. However, media drag public into entertainment rather than higher education. Furthermore, the audience of the arts historically transformed. The most of audience are not highly cultivated. They just read and listen, but never do critical thinking. But secondly, Lagersfeld and Merton concludes that standards for art forms produced by a small band of creative talents for a small and selective audience are not applicable to art forms produced by a gigantic industry for the majority. The theory of limited effects is a theory of mass communication effects study in America produced in the late 1940s. It is a denial of the early power of mass communication or bullet theory. The main point is that the communication effect of mass media is limited. Everyone is connected with others in the social network and influence each other. There are differences between audiences such as race, educational level, religious belief, income, and gender, and they will choose and interpret media content according to their own needs, attitude, and values. So we can conclude that a series so we can conclude that a lot of impressive theories that have fundamental influence are made by Columbia School researchers in communication study and will take a further learning in the future. Thank you.